What's up, guys? It's the Ultimate B-Man here again, and I'm here today to talk about a certain game that everybody has completely just blown out of proportion. A game that everybody has been talking about since the beginning of this year. A game that people played long time ago. People loved it. A particular fighting game that everybody's been loving, and was hoping that the company that produced this game was going to produce a awesome prequel to it. Turns out things went out for the worse. Let's take a little trip backwards a little bit, where this lovely little game was produced. If you guys don't know what game I'm talking about, it's pretty obvious, and as you can see, yes, I am talking about Marvel vs. Capcom. Now, originally, Marvel vs. Capcom came out in the arcade machines, in the arcades and whatnot, and eventually moved on towards the home consoles and whatnot, such as the PlayStation or the Dreamcast. Then later on, down the road, people started wanting more. From the beginning, before even Marvel vs. Capcom, we had Marvel Superheroes, Power for the Gems or something like that. And then, of course, we had Street Fighter. And, of course, Capcom having the rights to use those Marvel superheroes, they were able to create such popular games such as Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter vs. Tekken, or Cross Tekken, however you want to pronounce it. But then later on down the road, they produced an awesome, fantastic game known as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The game was, without the shadow of a doubt, the biggest and most best 2D fighting game of its genre. Any Street Fighter game during that time just couldn't measure up to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There was just no way. You had air combos, sick, crazy characters, 3 team pairings and whatnot. You can pick 3 characters. You can put Iron Man with M. Bison, and on the side you could put like Sun on there, or Ruby Hart and Jill Valentine, and then you put Ken. You got Wolverine, Cyclops, and then you put Cable on the side. You can just mix it up however you wanted to, and that was the big thing about Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and that's what people enjoyed, and that's what people liked. Now, come later on down in the near future, let's go to, when was it announced? Sometime in 2010, right? Where we heard that Capcom was producing a prequel to this game, the very prequel that everybody's been waiting for, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And this game, people were so hyped. Even I, the Ultimate B-Man, was hyped about it. I went bananas and went crazy. I was hoping for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to outdo Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It was going to have more characters, especially with all the stuff that's up to date now, with all the new Marvel heroes and with all the new Capcom characters that have been coming out. You figured that they were going to introduce more characters that they didn't get the chance to put into Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But little did we know, we were only praising Marvel vs. Capcom 2 more than what we were doing for this particular game. Finally, when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 did come out, it was the hype that everybody had, and then everybody had that hype. And then when they took it to the house, they realized, what? That's what happened. It felt like Capcom was only delivering half of what we saw. I mean, sure, they gave us a few new characters, but they pretty much put in the older roster characters, most of the more popular characters such as Captain America, Iron Man, Ryu, and Chun-Li. Those characters were automatically going to be put in the game, of course. And if you saw the trailers to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it was pretty obvious on who was going to be in the game. But like I said, little did we know that this game was almost less or more than what we were imagining and hoping for. Fans were outraged. Hardcore Marvel vs. Capcom 2 fans were pissed off. Even your boy, the Ultimate B-Man, was upset. Couldn't even understand why they wasn't going to be able to make more, to put more into this game. There was a lot of stuff that was missing out of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Of course, being spectator mode, which is a mode to where nowadays all fighting games have now. And on top of that, it was missing a lot of memorable characters that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had, that everybody was hooked on and was hoping that was going to get put into this game. But like I said, come to find out, come to shove, come to find out that that wasn't going to be the game that we were going to get. Fans were mad, they were upset. So you know what Capcom did to answer to all those cries and tears and all those shouts and, you know, clashing of the fists up against the palm? You know, as people felt like they were going to threaten Capcom to produce the game they wanted. Well, Capcom comes out of nowhere 5 months later, I think, either 5 or 6. Some people tend to count it up differently, but they come out at Comic-Con 2011. Come out of nowhere and say, we're going to be producing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You heard me right. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's being produced and it's already getting ready to be produced and be put on shelves. I know during the time that I'm making this video, it's kind of late. I should have been ahead, but during the time, I didn't have the stuff that I needed to do something like this. So, I'm going to go straight out and just tell you my thoughts about it. First off, it's crazy that Capcom is doing this, but from what I've heard from interviews over the net and forums, that Capcom didn't really have much of a choice. I mean, the game was either going to get produced here during this year or sometime the next 3 to 4 years. So, in some ways or another, it's kind of okay and alright that they had to do that. But then again, we're still pissed off because we bought that other game. And the reason why everybody's so upset is they're not going to do any DLC for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And that's kind of sad. They're not going to do a single little thing about that. And, you know, most games such as like Street Fighter 4 or Super Street Fighter 4, they got plenty of DLC and stuff like that. And Marvel vs. Capcom 3 isn't going to get a single bit of DLC. And that's what everybody's upset about. And I can understand that. It only makes sense. But I'm going to just say this. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 doesn't look that half bad. I've actually taken the time to look at it, see a lot of more stuff, and I hear that there's going to be more modes. Of course, spectator mode is already added, of course. And there's 12 new characters, whether we're going to like them or not, they're going to be added into the game. They're not like in Mortal Kombat where you can choose your character. Rather, you know, you could buy it or you don't buy it, but a lot of people are protesting against this game, and a lot of people are saying a lot of really big negative things about this game right off the bat, saying a lot of mean stuff about how Capcom screwed up and messed up on Marvel vs. Capcom 3. But then again, we need to kind of take the time that this isn't. I need to say this and say it now, that this is not the only company that does this type of stuff. We need to kind of think about it. Capcom isn't the only ones that produce games and then produce the same game over and over again, because there's other companies that do the same thing and you only get half of what you paid for in that first game you pay full price for. The game is coming out, it's going to be only like $40, and you know, it's not too expensive, but it's all up to whether you want to buy it or not. I'm not going to tell anybody and say, don't pick up Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. You'll be saving a lot of trouble. Let's try to fight against Capcom and try to beat them down. But let's hold off a little bit, because once the game comes out, we'll know if it's really worth the whole $40 price tag. Is it really? I wouldn't know. From what I've seen, it looks decent. The 12 new characters look alright. Phoenix Wright, Nemesis, We got Nova, Rocket Raccoon seems interesting. Virgil from Devil May Cry, like we need another one of those. But that's all I can really say about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I mean, I could go out and go rant about the game and beat it down until it's just got no life left in it, but it's kind of a waste. But all I'm going to say is, if you want it, get it. If you don't want it, don't get it. That's all I'm going to say. That's my opinion about the whole thing, and that's what I'm going to say here and now. But what I do hope for, is what you guys are going to get in part 2 of the Ultimate B-Man, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 thing that I'm doing here. So check out for part 2 for more little stuff that I'm going to be talking about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and what I'm hoping for out of it, especially one real big thing. So I hope you guys come and check that out.